Well, we're in the middle of a worldwide pandemic. Yes, the coronavirus is sweeping the globe, so I, of course, decided to watch not one, but two movies about terrifying infectious diseases. I just watched the 1995 movie Outbreak, directed by Wolfgang Peterson, which is currently on Netflix. And then I watched the 2011 movie Contagion, directed by Steven Soderbergh. I rented it for $3.99 on Amazon, but I believe it's also on Cinemax if you have Cinemax. Both of these movies are about deadly infectious diseases spreading rapidly and the efforts to contain them. Both of these movies have all-star casts. In Outbreak, you've got Dustin Hoffman, Rene Russo, Morgan Freeman, Cuba Gooding Jr., Donald Sutherland, Kevin Spacey, and a young Patrick Dempsey, Dr. McDreamy. In Contagion, you've got Matt Damon, Gwyneth Paltrow, Kate Winslet, Lawrence Fishburne, Jude Law, Marion Cotillard, Bryan Cranston's in there, and Dimitri Martin, of all people.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
So apart from these movies both being about the spread of infectious diseases, they're very different from one another. Obviously, I mean, they came out 16 years apart, so you've got that, but the tone of these movies is way different from one another. Outbreak, I would say, is a much more fun movie, and Contagion is way more serious and cold and depressing. But both of these movies have strengths and both of them have weaknesses, and I'll get into both of them. I'm not going to really get into any spoilers though, so if you haven't seen either of these movies, this is a spoiler-free review. Okay, let's talk about Outbreak briefly, because I watched this one first, and like I said, it is fun and entertaining, but it is pretty cheesy at times, especially in the second half or the third act. Things get kind of weird. The first half of this movie is actually pretty great. These doctors discover this infectious disease in Africa, and then it eventually makes its way to the United States via an infected monkey. And some people in a small town in California get infected, and it's a race against the clock to make sure that this disease becomes contained in California before it spreads globally. So this is not a global pandemic movie like Contagion is. But like I said, this movie is pretty cheesy at times. You see characters doing things that makes you shake your head. People acting irresponsibly, like somebody with obviously horrible flu-like symptoms, just sitting in a crowded movie theater, coughing over everybody. What the hell, man? One thing I wanted to point out that I appreciate about this movie is the fact that they used a real monkey. I feel like if this movie were made today, the monkey would just be CGI. I realized that back in '95, they didn't have the technology that we have today to make it look realistic, but still, I appreciate when productions use real live animals, as long as they don't abuse them. The plot of this movie, the first half was great, and then, it takes a right turn maybe towards the third act. There's a ridiculous helicopter chase scene that goes on way too long. Don't go under the bridge! So I didn't love the way that this movie ended. Contagion, however, well, let's just talk about Contagion. So Outbreak is fun, entertaining, fast-paced, a little cheesy. Contagion is slow, depressing, very serious, and just shows you what it would look like kind of behind the scenes if a very deadly infectious disease spread globally and started killing millions of people really quickly. It just takes a very clinical approach and shows you what would happen through the eyes of a bunch of different characters. So you have CDC experts and World Health Organization experts and regular everyday people dealing with the ramifications of this disease. But because this movie jumps around so much and has so many different characters, it's hard to, there's no real story that you're necessarily invested in. There's no really through line that you're following. It just kind of jumps around a lot. But it was directed very well. The acting is superb. There's one scene with Matt Damon where he gets some pretty bad news at a hospital, and you gotta love Matt Damon. He knocks it out of the park in this scene.
What are you talking about? Okay. What happened to her? What happened to her?
There is some of those hot button words right now that are mentioned in this movie, like social distancing is referenced in Contagion. And there's one scene with Kate Winslet where she's telling somebody that human beings touch our faces on an average of 2,000 to 3,000 times a day. What the hell? The virus in this movie attacks both the central nervous system and the respiratory system, and there's a great line in the movie delivered by, I believe, Jennifer L., who is, one of the side characters, but she plays an important role, and she's fantastic in this movie. Anyway, she says, somewhere in the world, the wrong bat met up with the wrong pig. I won't go into too much detail, but I will have to say, while I did not love how Outbreak ended, I did love the ending of Contagion. There's one scene at the end of this movie that might not blow some of you away, but I thought it was just the coolest ending, and I really liked it. All right, well, there you have it. So now it's time for me to decide which one of these I liked better. This was a hard decision. It came down to the wire because, like I said, Outbreak was really fun and entertaining, but cheesy, and Contagion was really well made, well directed, terrific acting, but cold and lacked a personal touch and pretty depressing. But I will say, because I liked the ending of Contagion much better than the ending of Outbreak, I'll give the slight edge to Contagion and say I liked Contagion better. In all seriousness, I know it's scary out there right now. A lot of unprecedented things are happening, but we're all in this together. We will get through it. And, if you've seen either of these movies, I want to hear from you. Comment below if you liked them, didn't like them, what you liked about them, what you didn't like about them. If you agree with what I had to say, please comment below. By the way, I will be releasing more content soon. My next video will be on The War of the Worlds. I will compare the book to the 2005 Steven Spielberg movie starring Tom Cruise. If you liked this video, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and click the bell, and I will see you later.